Welcome to Chapter 10, Motivating Employees and Creating Self-Managed Teams. In this chapter, I'll go over the evolution of motivation theory, contemporary views on motivation, how to apply motivation theory, using teams to motivate, and some trends happening in motivating employees. Some motivational theories I'll discuss in more detail in the slides that follow include scientific management, Hawthorne studies, the hierarchy of needs, theories X and Y, and motivator hygiene theory. The scientific management movement began in the U.S. after the Civil War. Scientific managers were, for the most part, mechanical engineers. They tried to apply their technical expertise in factories and industrial settings by merging people and their work environment scientifically to try and achieve the greatest amount of productivity. The interest of these managers and people involved identifying the one best man for each job. For example, in a task requiring heavy lifting, they would select the person who had the best combination of strength and endurance. If a machinist was needed to feed parts into a machine, a scientific manager would choose the person with the best hand-eye coordination and the fastest reflexes. If someone lacked the prerequisite physical skills for a job, he'd be scientifically screened out. Scientific managers wanted to increase work efficiency by employing measures such as plant design, plant layout, time study, and motion study. By placing machinery and materials at strategically determined points, they wanted to reduce the amount of time needed to move goods from the raw material stage to the finished product stage. By setting the rate at which machines were run and the way in which materials were fed, they attempted to achieve optimum machine speeds while eliminating excessive time and motion used by the machinists. But scientific management had its problems. Primarily, they stemmed from this tendency to view all workers as factors of production rather than as human beings. Many of the scientific managers saw the hired help as mere adjuncts of the machinery. They were carefully instructed in how to do the job and then offered more money for productivity increases. Obviously, this behavioral philosophy is shallow. While these early scientific managers may have known a lot about machinery and equipment, they knew very little about human relations in the work setting. The Hawthorne studies were conducted in the early 1920s at a Western Electric plant. When researchers studied employees, what they found were that organizations were not just formal structures where subordinates reported to their superiors, but there were social networks in which people interacted, sought acceptance from, and gave approval to fellow workers, and found enjoyment in the work and in the social exchange that occurred. They also found that people act differently when they know they are being watched. And finally, they found that the quality of supervision had a real effect on the quality and quantity of work. Abraham Maslow was a noted psychologist who set forth 5 needs that he believed were universal: physiological, safety, social, esteem, and self-actualization. He felt the most fundamental of all needs were the physiological. Examples include food, clothing, and shelter. A person deprived of everything would want to satisfy these basic needs first. Next, he placed safety needs. Once physiological needs are satisfied, safety needs replace them. There are basically 2 types of safety needs: the need for survival and the need for security. On the physical side, this means providing employees with safety equipment, safety rules, and on the psychological side, this means having job security and maybe benefits. Then there are social needs. When physiological and safety needs are met, social needs become important motivators. The need involves interaction with others for the purpose of meaningful relationships. On the job, interaction often happens with people who work near one another and come into frequent contact. Over time, they build up friendships and they look forward to interaction. Business firms try to meet this need by allowing workers to interact and talk with each other and fulfill that need for acceptance. After social needs are met, esteem needs come into play. People need to feel important, and self-esteem and self-respect are vital in this process. Esteem is much more psychological in nature than the other three needs are. We can give a person food, clothing, and shelter, but the esteem with which people regard themselves is mostly a function of what they allow themselves to believe. For example, a person who is told by his boss that he does an excellent job will only be motivated by his praise if he accepts the laudatory comments. After esteem needs are met, self-actualization needs manifest themselves. Because people satisfy this need in many different ways, scientists know less about it than the other needs, but research shows that there are two motives related to self-actualization: competence and achievement. People want to show competence in their job by gaining mastery of their work and professional growth. People also seek achievement. Many people are high achievers and want specific feedback on their performance. Douglas McGregor came up with Theory X and Theory Y. Theory X assumptions, he said, hold that people are basically lazy and that it's often necessary to use coercion and threats of punishment to get them to work. He felt that people hated work and they would avoid it, that most people had little ambition and they would shun responsibility, and all they really wanted was security. Theory Y, however, stated that work was as natural to people as resting or playing. Theory Y held that under the right conditions, people want to work. Theory Y also said that if people are committed to objectives, they'll exercise self-direction and self-control. And also the average person wants to learn not only to accept but seek responsibility. Theory Y forced managers to accept that motivation is a problem that has to be solved by management.